baby mommies, and perchance pals. Trace the randomness of a drop of water down the back of a hot paleontologist's hand. Yearn for the illusion of certainty. And if we had bacon, we could have bacon and eggs, if we had some eggs.
This is Talk Tell to Me. That was my best Ian Malcolm impression.
It was your best.
I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Welcome back. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Moans.
And this, my sweet question marks, is Talk Tell to Me?
A manifold meander across the many-layered Tulliverse, in which tiny Time Lords, no worries if not Nick, and only if you want Omen, will explore the alternative worlds of each and every track that Protean rock band Jethro Tull have ever unleashed upon the shifting sands of time. We will flounce across the Foloria Nopale fields, gangle through the green grasslands of David Goodyear, and we will even explore that all-Australian universe where John O'Hara plays the didgeridoo and nothing else. And if we can survive the flute forests of Fat Man, brave the Black Mamba bogs, and endure the devils of Dunringill, we might just find that rarest of all the Tull universes, the one in which we are beloved by the backdoor angel of Blackpool, the lights-out lutenist, the motorized merchant, the quantum-leaping quibbit, a man whose music puts the thick in my brick, Ian, and now, boys, let's do a silly one, Anderson.
What's the silly one?
This album is the silly one.
Okay,
yeah.
Just has me rolling.
It's so funny. Nick, welcome to the second episode of the Apocrypha portion of our podcast. We are rounding up 2 albums to be official Tull albums in our minds, and that's all that we have control over.
Just to buy some time until they re-release Under Wraps with a kitten playing the drums and a re-release of .com with 5 new tracks, well, 4 technically, and a release of an entirely brand new album.
Yes, for those reasons, and also because we have determined that this material is relevant enough to the Tull trajectory that it should be included.
That's right. You can't pass from .com to Zealot Gene without going through
the Bridge of Khazad-dûm
and Thick as a Brick 2
right.
Homo Eroticus, yeah.
I've just watched the Lord of the Rings extended version, and so I've got Tolkien on the brain. My apologies.
All 3 of them. 12 hours. 12 hours, right?
Maybe 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I'll do that again. Only when Rook is ready to watch them, because I probably won't ever watch them ever again after that. Probably only need the once every decade, I would say.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Nick, so what is the track about which we are talking Tull here on this exploration of Thick as a Brick 2, Whatever Happened to Gerald Bostock?
We are going to try and figure out what did happen to him by listening to the second track. It is a medley of sorts, a fruit and nut medley of pebbles and might have beens.
Watch your teeth on the pebbles.
just you got to suck on them. Yeah.
My dentist does not want me listening to this track.
Dentists hate listening to this track. Here's why.
Here's why. Dentists hate this obscure proc band.
The one thing dentists don't want you to listen to.
And Nick, are we going to find out what happened to Gerald Bostock on this track?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I'm not confident about it.
No,
I think
no.
If Ian were to culminate the answer in track 2, we wouldn't listen to the following 10 tracks.
He wouldn't be the story smith that we know him to be.
That's right.
Well, without further ado, why don't we jump into Pebbles / Might Have Beens.
So we'll start with just Pebbles with the 3.5 minute instrumental, and we'll cover that, and then we'll listen to Ian's blurb of Might Have Beens, and then talk that.
I love it.
CC.
Nick McGill.
Omen Thomas Sade. That was Pebbles. Pebbles instrumental, I guess.
That was Pebbles instrumental. The instrumental belonging to Pebbles.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right, yeah.
What a fun little ride. So functionally, this is kind of the post-overture flourish in this opera of an album.
Opera. Yeah, that first 15 seconds of kind of like squeezebox, cymbals, flute, it's kind of ethereal. It feels like a bit of a transition. It's when the lights go down and we have the set change and then the lights come back up to give us this feeling of something different is going on. We've changed locations, we've changed times, something, but it does have a transitional feel to get into the bulk of this.
It's the first big choreo number of the whole chorus who just come out on stage, dance while the main character is changing outfits.
Yeah. It's all ballerinas.
It's all ballerinas. It's all ballerinas, yeah.
All ballerinas all the time.
From all different parts of the world, all different body shapes.
Yeah.
All different tutu colors.
But all ballerinas.
But they're all ballerinas for sure.
Yeah.
So we've kind of had the premise of From a Pebble Throne, this idea that the ripples can go out into the world, and now we're having a little moment to appreciate those thoughts.
Right. We have yet to really talk specifically about Gerald, right? Pebble's Throne was just, this could happen. This is a general idea. This could affect anyone. We don't have a specific subject just yet.
And maybe we in that opener see Gerald, but we still don't really know anything about him.
Right.
We just see that's literally like in Dante. It's like he's lost in the middle of his life, and now we're going to go on this miraculous journey.
Right.
What do you feel about the energy of the Pebbles instrumental?
It's certainly zippy.
Yeah.
It certainly brings you through, does not really, I mean, there are some kind of lower points in the audio, but for the most part, like it's a powerhouse. It powers you through. You certainly don't want something rather lulling at this point in the album, in the story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it certainly does the job of punching you through this 3.5 minutes of flute noise.
3.5 minutes of flute noise.
Flute noise.
Thank you, Stephen Peacock. I think that there is some nice contrast in here. It's interesting. We don't have that many musical themes in here. It's not like we have every musical theme that we're going to have in the album, like a true overture would be. But I really do like the contrast of Pebbles with Might Have Beens, because Might Have Beens is literally just Ian's recitation with a little bit of wind noise in the background.
Yeah.
And so to have that calmness, that sparse sound contrasted with this super rollicking, super fun 3-minute, like you said, section it's a nice contrast.
Yeah, it's very tumultuous. To stick with the wind, it's kind of like a cyclone, and then it mellows out. We get to the end, and Ian ramps up with his and he flutes out, and then we get like
Doctor, he's fluting out.
Oh God, get the flute. He prepares embouchure. The last second of this track gives us that little wind sound that will transition smoothly into the wind sound that picks up for Might Have Beens.
Yes. I love that you are jamming on the kind of elemental element of this. The elemental element.
Mm-hmm.
I interpret it more as water.
Oh, interesting.
I think it kind of works either way. I love in that real intro section, the first 20 seconds, we have those big cymbal swells.
Yeah.
That kind of feel like
yeah,
these big waves coming back and forth.
Okay, I see that.
With the accordion, I think, on just a drone behind it, which is really nice.
I like that a lot, yeah.
Nice to have an accordion drone?
Yeah.
As opposed to a keys, like
organ or
synth.
Synth, yeah.
The flute is lovely. There's a clean crunchiness to this album in the sound quality.
Yep.
But it doesn't feel like a metallic, sterile environment. It feels like a really nicely scrubbed and oiled wooden table.
Yeah, it's that Steve Wilson cleanliness where after people leave his house, he goes through with Windex and cleans everything. He just makes sure there's no fingerprints. That's all. That's all. It's nothing.
Normal stuff.
It's just cleanliness.
It's just cleanliness.
Excuse me while I turn this light on and off 10 times.
At 24 seconds, we have Florian coming in on the electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit of Florian kind of showing himself, revealing himself during this track.
Yeah. It's very Martin-esque. You know, it feels like the next step in the guitar evolution of Jethro Tull. You know, Martin exhibited sounds and feelings of this kind of this hard, this heavy, this stingy bits. But Florian, I think, takes it to that next level.
I have such mixed feelings about Florian because I just love Martin so much.
I know.
And it's not fair to compare them.
Is it because he's German?
But life isn't fair. Yes, it's because he's German. I feel like there are two Florians.
Mm-hmm.
And when good Florian is good, he's really good. But when bad Florian is...
bad Florian's bad, he's even better.
Well, when I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
For me, there's the stingy side, which I do appreciate. It's different than Martin. It's a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
It's very skillful. I mean, he's an incredibly talented musician.
Yeah.
I think when he's doing just the kind of rhythmy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a section where he goes dum 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 ba dum 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 dum. And I find that a little lacking in the personality that Martin brings to it. And again, it's not fair to compare them, but here we go.
But brace yourself. I wonder if it's the source material and not the artist themselves.
And it could be, it's also the relationship. You know, at this stage, if Ian says, Florian, play it this way, Florian's going to play it that way.
Florian plays it this way, yeah.
Maybe, and we're making stuff up. Maybe at this phase or toward the end of the working relationship between Ian and Martin, maybe Ian was saying, Martin, play it this way. And Martin was saying, yeah, but I'm also going to put this on it.
And, you know, I mean, the older granddad Ian got, the more regimented he got with the music, it feels like. And, you know, I mean, maybe that could be a little bit of the kernel of what happened between he and Martin.
We don't know. It's not our place to say. But
it is our place to speculate.
But it is. But I think that you're right. I think that there is something there. I also think that if we look at this track, there's a lot of intricacies going on here.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, you do want people to be kind of hitting their marks.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in particular for the follow-up to a massive concept album, even though it's not like 45 minutes aside, you still need the intricacy and the delicate lace work to lay the ground for its entirety.
You're right. You're like, you have to play this measure exactly this way because this is a reference to this measure, which is 5 tracks later.
Yeah. And it's a reference to this measure from 40 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There's a wonderful section around the 130 mark where we have a Florian riff, which is gorgeous, followed by a John O'Hara riff, which is frickin' nice on the accordion, followed by a David Goodyear riff on the bass.
Is that the one where the flute's going pretty much the whole time? So it's kind of like a call and response?
Yes. He's sort of trading off.
Ian's kind of a whole part of it, yeah.
That to me feels a little bit like, all right, here's introducing the band. And, you know, functionally, if you were going to perform that live, that would totally be the moment, or it could be a moment where you would say, you could take the flute part out and say, and now Florian Opal.
Yeah, right.
Welcome, David Goodyear.
Right.
Dum, 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 dum,
A spotlight comes on and you do your 2 bars and then you're done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have the rest of the album to play.
And then everybody goes back behind the curtain to continue playing while Ian's out there prancing about like a gazelle.
Is that how they did it?
No.
Okay.
Right after that, we get this weird section at about 1:45
Uh-huh.
where there's like whispering going on. It's only 2 times.
Are you referring to when Ian goes,
Yeah, is it thick as a brick backwards? Because prior to that, he goes thick as a brick a couple of times.
in this track?
Yeah. A couple of times they say thick as a brick, which to me feels a little cheesy. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know. So I couldn't ever tell what it was. I'm not convinced that it is thick as a brick.
Before this 145 moment, he does straight up say thick as a brick a couple times. Then this part, I don't know if it's backwards or what, but it's something whispered and unintelligible.
What would thick as a brick be backwards? Kirb.
Kirbs.
Correct.
I think I might pull out the audio and reverse it just to see if I can get it.
It's interesting that it feels cheesy to you. I actually love it.
The backwards voice I'm okay with. Him actually saying thick as a brick to me feels a little silly.
I love it.
You didn't even hear him say thick as a brick. You can't say you love it.
I love it. I love it now and I love it then.
Preemptive loving.
To me, because I couldn't hear what he was saying, it creates a sense of mystery where it's like, what is this going on? Is this some sort of Kabbalistic chanting?
Yeah.
It turns out, yes, it is. He's saying thick as a brick.
If it is in fact thick as a brick backwards. So earlier in the song, we've got him saying thick as a brick twice. This middle portion of the song, he says it potentially backwards. And then he says it again forward twice. It feels like...
Yeah.
It's like a swirl. You're going down a whirlpool and sometimes it's forwards and sometimes it's backwards. And you're being transported against your will and you don't know where, but you just have to be along for the ride because you pushed play on this CD.
Totally. This is the Jumanji album.
Yes.
If you put it on the record player, you get sucked into the world.
Yes.
But I love if it is backwards and forwards, and let's say it is.
Let's say it is.
Let's just say that. But even if it isn't.
But it is.
Obviously it is. This track has the feeling of, with those waves that we're talking about, with those kind of weird pushes and pulls, it does feel like time is kind of getting twisty.
Yes. That's exactly the feeling that we ought to be getting. It feels like It's a Wonderful Life, you know. It feels like flashbacks here and there, or potential. It feels like A Christmas Carol. It feels all sorts of potentials, what ifs, maybes, and might have beens.
You know what I've been thinking a lot with this album is, do you remember in the 90s to 2000s, there were 2 TV shows. One was called Sliders.
Yes.
That actually had John Rhys Davies in it.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
It was a group of scientists they had figured out a way to get to a parallel universe where everything on Earth was the same except for one thing.
Right.
Except for there was a suicide lottery, or except for there was a woman president, or except for whatever.
Oh, no.
I know. Great show. And then the tagline is like, and will they ever be able to slide home?
Oh, so they don't stay in their universe and then go and then come back. It's we're trying to get back to our universe.
No, it's like they have to go all the way around all the different possibilities.
Oh, that's cool.
The other show that kind of has a similar theme, although with a different approach, is Quantum Leap.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
With Mr. Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
A great underrated actor of the late 20th century. A rated actor.
A rated actor.
Of the 20th century. But there is that sense of like, I'm getting sucked over here. Like, now I'm a squirrel.
Everybody's a squirrel, except for the female president.
Who's a nut? So, let's talk about the time signature.
Is it 4/4?
No, it is not.
Really?
It is not.
Not at all?
Maybe there's a measure or two, but most of this is in
8-4.
7.
Really? I was comfortably counting 8. I never say the word 5, though, so it probably fits.
So the way that I counted it was actually a measure of 4 and a measure of 3.
Okay.
Which is 7. It's the same way of doing it, but like if you go like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, personally.
Let's check.
You're probably right, but I've never felt more comfortable with counting to 8 than I have.
1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. Oh, you. No, there was a part.
There may be a section.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Which is nice. We haven't had 7.
Not since Solstice Bells have we had 7, 8.
That's true. It's great. It's kind of a very Tull time signature in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives that feeling of being slightly weird, where you're like,
off kilter.
Something slightly odd here.
Yeah, you're forever stumbling forward
Right.
to this destination.
Something's off, and can't be my counting ability, so it must be something else.
I'm comfortable where I am. It's just a simple 8, 8.
I feel very confident counting this. And he was never seen again. Don't let Nick program the jump pad, whatever you do. We'll never get home.
Just after our mythical whispers at like about 150, we get really quick but really great little drum fill by Scott. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo. And then it goes right into the next part.
Yes.
Aside from the cymbals very early on, that's the most definitive sound where Scott steps forward.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's fun. Hitting those toms is a great, like, slightly hollow sound, but it pushes you through.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm sure we'll hear a lot more from him in the future.
Yeah.
Around the 240 mark, we have the close down, and we have Ian doing these wonderful crests, these flute crests, where he goes like... And it's just a testament to his musicianship. He's not kind of fudging it with and just making a big silly sound. He's playing every single one of those notes.
Yeah.
As a distinct moment.
And the usage of that, the decision to put that in there, requires a degree of confidence and expertise, I think, that having played the flute in a rock band for the last 40 years, Ian knows exactly how to use his instrument and when to use it in his songwriting. And I think it works really well with the chaos, and it works really well with this idea of the weird echo of the original Thick as a Brick.
Mm-hmm. Every molecule in Ian's body has been replaced 3 times since he recorded the first Thick as a Brick.
Right. Theseus is Ian.
The continuum that is Ian has evolved. He's now Ian the White. He's no longer Ian the Gray.
Just a giant flute. He's backlit and it's so bright. And like, who is that?
It's Ian Anderson.
Oh, he defeated the Balrog and now he's come back.
He stabbed the Balrog with the flute.
Is Martin the Balrog?
No.
No.
Depression is the Balrog.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. A salmon farm is the Balrog.
Right. I smote my enemy upon the mountainside. You mean the Balrog? No, the critics from Rolling Stone.
Stephen Peacock shall never be heard from again.
His ruin will smoke the entire mountainside.
Omen, did you know, Omen?
Did I?
You might have. That silent singing is so special because it has a foreword by one Gerald Bostock.
Are you telling me, Nick, that Silent Singing, the book published in 2021 by Ian Anderson, which has all of his lyrics,
All of them.
has a foreword by none other than the real Gerald Bostock?
Apparently so. I don't know if it's the person who emailed us way back a few years ago from Texas who never returned our email.
I doubt it.
Oddly enough, but someone else claiming to be Gerald Bostock has written the foreword for this.
How mysterious and how appropriate that we should read it, or sections from it, now as we are getting into the question of whatever happened to Gerald Bostock.
I think it's very appropriate.
He must be Scottish.
Probably.
While, in my modest way, I have helped to shape some of the lyrics of this body of work, I take this opportunity to flesh out the brittle bones of Anderson, the songwriter and founder of Jethro Tull. Ian, if I may call him that, since I don't too often, was born in 1947 in Dunfermline, Scotland, to a Scottish father, James, and English mother, Irene. The parents had met and courted in the early 1920s at Blackpool, a seaside holiday town in the north of England. Irene decided to abandon her ambition to become a modern ballet dancer and moved to Scotland to marry.
Oh, Freud, put away that erection.
Don't say anything that rhymes with Brahmi Mishues.
Or LA Bancer.
Mr. A's school days began at Roseburn Primary School in Edinburgh, where he rose to the top of his class in his final year and received the School Dux Prize before the move to the secondary education. In those years, the late 1950s, there was the glimmer of a national economic and social recovery born from post-war austerity, and with growing optimism, his proud parents had high hopes for the boy's academic future. His entrance exams to both FETS and the Royal High School were passed, and the Andersons chose to send their son to the Royal High School with a scholarship, rather than to the unaffordably expensive, fee-paying school, FETS. I spit in Scottish disapproval.
Poi.
A school uniform was purchased, but remained unworn when the family suddenly chose to move to Blackpool, and James and Irene decided to become grocers. Enrolled at Blackpool Grammar School, young Ian found the transition hard and ran away on his first day. He followed the tram tracks back and recognised the street where the family had bought the corner shop general store. Father James immediately returned Ian to school, and he was reincarcerated, joining the art class just before the close of the school day. The kindly art master, Mr. Atkin, a friendly fellow Scot, took him under his wing and helped smooth the way to academic continuity. The maths teacher, Granny Jones, also offered support and a welcome, caring touch to the new boy. The Andersons soon moved again to try their hand at running a hotel. It was a small private guest house where the long hours making beds, cleaning, cooking, and trying to keep a civil face to greet the often demanding guests were only compensated for by the quiet winter months. In November, Blackpool was returned to its good citizens for a few months until the Easter resumption of the tourist trade. In retrospect, he might not be Scottish.
It's too late now.
It is too late now. So I love the part where they move to Blackpool and Ian gets sent to school for the first day, doesn't like it, and immediately runs away.
I mean, yeah.
He's captured by his father and returned.
He's got a tag in him that time so he can be tracked.
That's right. It's fascinating to me that Ian has developed this recurring character or alternative persona of Gerald Bostock to make use of when it's necessary and helpful for him. Who knows? Maybe Gerald Bostock was a product of Ian's transition to Blackpool, where he said, well, I can't possibly go to this English school, but you know who could? Gerald Bostock.
So he's Ian's Tyler Durden?
I think he's more Ian's Bruce Wayne. I think it's the other way around.
So Ian's the Batman here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
He develops Gerald as a way of blending into normie culture.
Yeah. He has to dumb it down to fit in.
Right. I mean,
Gotcha.
you know.
It's, what's it called? Code shifting, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's yeah. I started watching Batman Beyond. Did you ever see that?
Which one was that? That's a cartoon, right?
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Bruce is like 80.
Right, yeah. And it's like a little sci-fi.
Yeah. It's in the future, and Terry McGinnis becomes the new Batman.
Oh.
There's a great part where there's this villain who operates sound. He manipulates sound, and he's hurt Bruce, who has to go into the hospital, and then he's projecting voices into Bruce's head.
Ooh, cool.
And everyone is like, oh, he's gone insane. And then eventually Bruce is like, anyway, he does something, and Terry's like, well, how did you know that you weren't actually going insane? How did you know that the voices were coming from something else? And he was like, because the voices in my head were calling me Bruce, and that's not how I think of myself. In my own mind. It's like, oh, God.
In my mind, I'm bad baby.
Well, that's the forward. A little treat, a little perspective from Gerald Bostock. Obviously written by Ian, but a fun...
Santa's not real. Neither is Gerald Bostock.
A fun little glimpse into Ian's childhood life that we don't get to see very often.
It seems to be mostly something of a really quick little biography, not autobiography. And I think we'll dig in a little bit more maybe later when we have some time.
Yeah.
Gerald Bostock, alive and well as of 2020.
Alive and well as of 2020.
Okay, Omen, second half, the time where we traditionally talk lyrics. There were no lyrics, except for Thick as a Brick and in Pebbles. So we're just going to jump right into the lyrics of Might Have Beens because there is no music there, except for some wind and some birdie tweets.
I was just going to say, let's talk about the sound design, at least.
Sure.
And you nailed it. There's like some wind, kind of makes me feel like I'm up on a headland overlooking the sea.
Yeah, it sounds like it's running through trees.
Yes.
So I get the feeling of, or even a meadow.
Yes.
It's going through something. It's not just the wind itself. So remember, Pebbles ended with just the very kernel of that sound, and then it builds into it.
Yep.
And we get that sound for most of this recitation until right near the very end.
Then it transitions into that slightly calmer, slightly more warm feeling acoustic situation where you have those beautiful birds, almost like going from nighttime to dawn.
Yeah. Or you're leaving the scary portion of the forest with the shadows and the brambles, and now you're in a sweet little meadow.
The storm has passed and the sun comes out.
Right. So the tumultuous nature of what we've been presented with is now ending and dropping us off in kind of a safe zone, a safe space.
Not to continuously reference Dante Alighieri, but it does kind of feel like we found our Virgil.
Tell him to stop being so apt. And we'll stop referencing him.
God damn it, Alighieri. Why did you have to single-handedly invent the Italian language and be so relevant in modern society?
And make Thick as a Brick 2 enjoyable.
But I do feel like, if we start with From a Pebble Thrown, it's that like, I'm lost, I want my mommy.
Yep.
Instrumental Pebbles is that like, I'm falling down the rabbit hole, and Might Have Beens is finally a voice of reason.
Yeah.
Saying, this is what we're gonna do.
Yes.
You know that part when you're thinking about what could my life have been? That's where we're going.
Yeah.
And you're safe with me because my voice sounds like a piece of teak that has been well loved for generations.
It feels like our narrator, Ian, this mystery voice, this Virgil, the image that I get is the front cover of Silent Singing.
Oh, yeah.
That mysterious hooded Ian
Yes.
there.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. With him holding his index finger up to his mouth.
Don't speak. Let me.
Here, in the mines of Tull, the elves delved greasily and too deep. So sorry.
So much of it. So much.
So
Tolkien,
much.
stop being so relevant.
Stop having invented the English language single-handedly.
Yeah, so I think it's the transition lyrically, quote unquote, of the speech. I think the birds are kind of right near the end, this last bit of paragraph. I think
The what ifs, maybes, and why nots, yeah.
Yeah. That drops us there. But we start hearing Ian while it's still going, the crazy strong wind. So we're still kind of in this moment of transport. He's doubling down on the idea of, yes, a lot of these things can happen, and what are we going to cover here?
Yeah. He starts, we all must wonder now and then if things had turned out, well, just plain different.
We all must wonder now and then if things had turned out, well, just plain different.
A true statement.
Yes, it's the next step. It's the thesis statement for Pebble's Throne, really.
And kind of for the whole, I was going to say the whole film, and kind of for the whole album.
Yeah.
You're totally right. This little section is the thesis of the album.
Yeah.
What if things were different than they are? Discuss.
Yeah. What could have happened?
And I think that, that's a very natural human thing that we all at some point do. Oh, well, what if I had gotten this gig that I auditioned for? What if, what if I'd married this person instead of this person? What if I'd been born taller?
I'm so short. What if I didn't go to Hofstra?
Right? What if the economy hadn't crashed right when we graduated?
What if? What if?
But also, what if I had been consumed by the darkness at this period? There's lots of, I don't know, it's almost an exercise in futility.
It is, yeah.
But it's also something that we all do. And so why not make an album about it?
Right, yeah. Why not make it official? Really,
Make it Facebook official.
Yeah. Yeah. Gerald Bostock, it's complicated.
He continues, chance path taken, page unturned, or brief encounter blossomed, splintered.
Chance path taken, page unturned, or brief encounter blossomed, splintered.
And he does this wonderful doubling up of the voice where you hear the voice bifurcate.
Yeah, for blossomed, splintered.
Blossom, sprinkled.
That's the only time we hear it in this, and it's very good. It's nice. It's a good touch.
And such beautiful contrasting images. To blossom is you have all the different petals, which could be the possibilities of life kind of unfolding.
Right, yeah.
Splintered is where you take something that's solid and you break it apart into 1,000 pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
This album is almost like looking into a mirror of your life, but the mirror is breaking. And so you're seeing all these different facets of where it could have gone.
Right. It's the same concept, but it's glass half empty or glass half full, basically.
Yeah. It's actually glass cut in half.
Filled with petals.
Filled with delicious petals.
So good.
And then we kind of have a breakdown of, hey, here's what we're going to cover.
Right. Yeah. Now we get more. I mean, we still haven't said anything specifically about Gerald, so this could be anybody's trajectory.
Sure.
But we are going to be looking at Gerald specifically through these lenses.
And it's almost the table of contents.
Yeah, right.
Might you have been the man of courage brave upon the battlefield?
Might you have been the man of courage brave upon life's battlefield?
Sure. Captain Commerce, high-flown banker, / or maybe hedonistic down at heel.
Captain Commerce, high-flown banker, hedonistic down at heel.
That's the homosexual story we'll get.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. A Puritan of moral fiber, voice raised in praise magnificent.
A Puritan of moral fiber, voice raised in praise magnificent.
Could you imagine if Ian Anderson had become a priest orator?
I can't.
Rolling Stone reviews Catholicism. 4 out of 5 stars.
Zealot Gene was pretty good, but...
Or rested in assured repose, knowing your lot in quiet content.
Or rested in assured repose, knowing your lot in quiet content.
I don't know if irks is the right word, but you know what causes a reaction in me?
Oh, probably many things, but something about this in particular?
Yeah, something about the way that this text is written.
I don't know. Tell me.
There's no rhyme scheme and there's no meter scheme. It's all freehand.
Yeah.
It's all freestyle.
Ian likes to freestyle every now and then.
He's a freestyler. He don't freestyle because his style ain't free. But I do think the way he reads it, it feels like there is a structure and a rhythm and almost a rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
But there isn't one.
I wonder if it was initially put to music. If there is, as Ian's reading it, there's a rhythm in his ear that we just aren't privy to hearing. Because it does have beats.
It's almost in a 12 meter. We all must want, and it is kind of iambic. We all must wonder now and then if things had turned out just plain different. Cut out the well. Chance path taken, page unturned, or brief encounter, blossom splintered. It's almost consistently an 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Might you have been the man of courage, brave upon life's battle field? 11. Captain Commerce, high flown banker, hedonistic down at heel. 10. Well, and there we do have a rhyme.
Yeah. And magnificent and content as well. Different. Now and then, plain different. Splinter.
It's not strictly patterned, but it is semi-patterned.
It does slightly rhyme. I mean, the loosest is different and splintered, but we've got battlefield, down at heel, magnificent, content. I think it's a little bit of a stretch there, but Ian has stretched a rhyme scheme in the past.
He stretched it much further than that.
Yeah, exactly. I think there is something to your timing here, your meter, if I will.
And I hope you do. And, even Shakespeare doesn't strictly follow his form all the time.
Yeah, you need to know it and be expert at it before you can break it.
You feel the structure. I feel taken care of by the structure of this poem.
Yeah, it's definitely holding your hand and making you feel comfortable. It's not chaotic at all.
Like Virgil. Take my hand and we're halfway there. Ooh, ooh, Dante's Inferno. What ifs, maybes, and might have beens fly, soft petals on a breeze. What ifs, maybes, and might have beens, why nots, perhaps, and wait and sees.
What ifs, maybes, and might have beens fly, soft petals on a breeze. What ifs, maybes, and might have beens, why not, perhaps, and wait and sees.
There we have kind of a couplet.
Yeah. Isn't this a sonnet?
Whoa.
1, 2, 3. A shorter sonnet?
It's not a strict sonnet,
Yeah.
but it does give big sonnet energy.
Yeah. Something I find interesting is that line might have been soft petals on a breeze. That's alluding back to our blossoms, but he doesn't go back to splintered. So there is something of the positive side here. It's less violent. It's more gentle and sweeter, softer, more friendly than something being splintered.
So there are lots of different types of sonnets. There's the sonic style of Petrarch. There's the Shakespearean sonnet. There's the Spenserian sonnet, each of which have their own individual rhyme schemes.
Okay.
The Milton type sonnet, then the modern sonnet, which is a lot more in-structured, and a curtal sonnet made up of 11 lines total, which is 3/4 the length of the traditional sonnet.
So we've got A, B, C, D, D.
It's an Andersonian sonnet.
Yeah.
It's a Scotch sonnet.
Spicy
Spicy,
sonnet.
so spicy, don't eat it. Just a drop is all you need. Nick, we are officially off and running. The train
What about the train, Omen?
The train
Won't slow down?
It won't slow down. Thank you. Jesus. We're on the train. It won't slow down. We'll have to just ride this album to the terminus.
That's right. No turning back, no refunds.
With this intro, with this kind of double intro, triple intro of Pebbles Thrown, Pebbles Instrumental, and Might Have Beens, how are we feeling about the rest of the journey?
I'm looking forward to getting into specifics. I think Pebbles might have been a bit too long and didn't really add much to it.
You shut your fucking face. No,
That being said, it being a transition to get into Might Have Beens was valuable, I think. I think we needed something from a Pebble Thrown to Might Have Beens.
you mean in the instrumental?
Yes. Yeah.
I agree with you in one sense, but in another, much more real sense, I disagree. Because I feel like we have to remember we're not just listening to a collection of songs, we're listening to the concept album. And so the pace of listening is slower.
Yes. Yeah. I think what makes it difficult is that it's nigh impossible to remove this from the original Thick as a Brick,
True.
which is all one wall of sound. A good wall, mind you, like the Berlin Wall.
Jesus.
Strong. coming out strong out of the gate for separating Berlin, or for Germany. Wow. It's a good wall, but it's difficult to really view this both as a concept album, but also broken up.
Well, no one ever said our job was going to be easy.
I wonder, and I know I'm wrong, but I wonder if somehow the lyrical breakdown of Might Have Beens could fit over the top of Pebbles. I doubt it.
It's possible.
But it's
Who knows?
possible.
Do you know, I heard this thing. Do you know if you play Thick as a Brick 2 and Thick as a Brick 1 at the same time, you know what happens?
Sounds like shit.
You get a terrible headache.
One in one ear, one in the other. Your eyes bleed, oddly enough. It's strange.
Straight to the hospital. Nick, what are we listening to next week?
Omen, we have wrapped up the Pebbles Throne portion of Thick as a Brick. We are moving on to the next portion entitled Gerald the Banker, in which we start with track 3, another medley, Upper Sixth, Lone Shark, and Banker Bets, Banker Wins. Both have lyrics and music this time around, but still a medley.
We'll cover those both separately, probably.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, we will start Upper Sixth Lone Shark and get really into the multifaceted, multifloral explosion of the life of one Gerald Bostock.
Many Gerald Bostock, even.
Of Gerald's Bostock.
Yes, indeed. Until next week, I do wonder now and then if I am Nick McGill.
I'm a petal that's blown not just on the breeze. Omen Thomas Sade.
We make it impossible to know your lot in quiet content, the feckless momes.
And with our powers combined, we call Captain Commerce! It's Talk Tall to Me.
What if you could travel to parallel worlds? The same year, the same Earth, only different dimensions. A world where the Russians rule America. Or where your dreams of being a superstar came true. Or where San Francisco was a maximum security prison. My friends and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home.